welcome back to another video, and today we are doing the best movies of 2024. I watched 132 movies and ranked them all from worst all the way to best over on my Letterboxd account. If you are interested, go over there and find it. But I will be going through the top 20 movies of 2024. Yes, the top 20 of my list has some absolute steals in there. Some fantastic movies and also some really recent ones as well towards the end of the year. I feel like the year of 2024 ended very strong in comparison to how it started. Now, I'm going to do top 20 because, like I said, I watched 132 movies. But I will do some honourable mentions. I didn't quite make the top 20. I want to say the first one was Immaculate. This is by Sydney Sweeney. A fantastic horror movie. She did really, really good in it and a very much big surprising pick. Another surprising movie for me was Wicked Little Letters, which starred Olivia Colman. That was really, really good. British comedy, really, and really fantastic. One Life was the first movie I actually reviewed in the year. Anthony Hopkins, true story about the saving Jews and stuff like that. A really inspiring story. And then Twisters, which missed out at number 21 of the year. Twisters was a really good follow-up to Twister and the whole storm, I guess, of hurricanes and tornado kind of thing. Like disaster movie, coming on the scene. So some real good movies there that I want to give some honourable mentions to. But let's start. In at number 20 is a very small budget-ish movie, really. And to be honest, a really, really surprising film. Written, directed and edited by Sean Baker. This is Anora. A fantastic film which really, shows the meaning of love. Some comedic moments in there as well. Some very, really creative decisions in the movie. The lighting, especially in some of the scenes, was fantastic. And to be honest, Anora was just all around really, really good, feel-good movie. It was nicely made, and the creative side of like being written, directed and edited by the same person, Sean Baker, was great. The creativity was fantastic in the film. In at number 19 then, and this is the movie that I actually reviewed recently on the channel, this is Better Man. One of my favourite biopic movies of the year. There's actually a few in this list which we'll get to in a little bit, of course, but this is the CGI monkey Robbie Williams. Michael Gracie directed from Greatest Showman, of course, and it's a really inspiring story, really good, and it's in cinemas now if you're interested, of course. I would recommend, even if you're a Robbie Williams fan, it's good, but if you're not a Robbie Williams fan, it's still very, very good. Number 18 then, again, another recent one, and this is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I feel like the Sonic movies just get better and better and better every time. The CGI in this movie was second to none. It was exceptional, phenomenal, and really, really good. Keanu Reeves is a really nice addition to this film. As Shadow, voicing Shadow, really good character. We had that tease towards the end, and they've obviously teased now a fourth movie. Sonic just gets better and better in terms of 1, 2 and 3. And Sonic 3 does not miss. Number 17 then now, and again, a third movie in this trilogy. This is Paddington in Peru. I very much enjoyed Paddington. This is basically Paddington 3, but this is basically Paddington going back to his roots in terms of Peru. Olivia Colman's in there, and it's a nice British movie. And like I said, it's one of the best trilogies ever made, in my opinion, because all three of the Paddington movies are just fantastic. Up then into number 16 now, we have Conclave. This is the movie starring Ralph Fiennes. A fantastic movie, and honestly fantastic movie with some real creative stuff going on in there. It's fantastic, it's brilliant. Edward Berger is the director, and Ralph Fiennes just stars in the hopefully Oscar movie that we're going to get nominations for soon, because I think it does deserve some Oscars. Speaking of Oscars, this movie definitely deserves an Oscar. This is in the number 15, The Apprentice, the Donald Trump movie. Obviously Donald Trump actually trumping the election this year, but he has a biopic movie now, and Donald Trump himself is actually starring Sebastian Stan. It's a fantastic movie. I gave it really good praise. It's well made. It's directed by Ali Abazi. It's really, really good. It takes you back to the time, but focuses on a really particular moment in Donald Trump's life, and I think it's really, really good. Slightly up the list then now, in at number 14 is a sequel to a pretty old movie that I watched for the first time this year. This is Gladiator II, in at number 14. A fantastic follow-up, really, in terms of how can you continue on the story, how could Ridley Scott pick up from it all, and obviously Maximus, we know what happens to Maximus, obviously, in the first Gladiator movie. How can that carry on? I think it's a really, really worthy follow-up. Definitely not as good, but it's still a fantastic follow-up with obviously 2024 kind of technology backing it up as well. I think it was well made, well shot, and every actor that was in there was pretty good. So a pretty good follow-up there. And now we're in at number 13 then, which is unlucky for some, but not for this one. This is Long Legs. This stars Nicolas Cage, a fantastic creation movie. Really, really edgy, really gripping. Osgood Perkins is the director. character. I really enjoyed it. You know, FBI agent Lee Harker is gifted a new recruit and assigned to an unsolved case, and it's just a real psychological thriller that just takes you on a real journey. But some fantastic performances and some really good, like, nice stylistic, you know, choices from the people creating the movie. It was really good and fantastically made. Number 12 then now, speaking of fantastically made, and again another sequel. This is Alien Romulus. This is like a sequel but also based on the events of the first movie, and it's a fantastic follow-up using 2024's, you know, cutting edge technology that we get now. I think Alien Romulus was probably one of my most enjoyable experiences in the cinema this year. It really did hold its own, and I cannot wait for the next one, to be honest. It does tie in multiple different stories of the Alien stroke Prometheus world, and I definitely want to get into watching this franchise a little bit more. But Romulus was fantastic, and I would recommend anyone to watch it. Speaking of fantastic, we're obviously getting better and better up this list in terms of my personal preferences, but in at number 11 is The Substance, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley movie. This was one of the most creatively inspiring movies of the year. Absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait to watch it on a second watch and get it into the room, because it was one of the, you know, up there creatively fantastic movies for me. Some disturbing scenes, which maybe is why it's not so high, because for me personally, I just don't really gravitate towards disturbing scenes. But creativity wise, absurdity, you know, even Demi Moore having this massive rise, I guess, now again, for her personally, I think is fantastic. And yeah, I think The Substance was brilliant. Number 10 then, and this is a animation movie. There's another animation movie after this, but this is Inside Out 2. It's actually the highest grossing movie of the year. Came out in June in the UK. Obviously the follow-up to Inside Out from Disney Pixar. We had some new emotions in there. Obviously 2024 has opened up, well, not 2024, but since the first Inside Out movie, there's a lot more emotions in the world now, mental health and anxiety and stuff. So some really nice characters, you know, moving on with the times, but also being a very successful commercial movie, but also ultimately being a fantastic sequel, and it was. And the sequels keep on coming, because in at number 9, I actually gave it to Furiosa. This stars Anya Taylor-Joy, of course, and directed by George Miller. We get Chris Hemsworth in this movie as well, and it is a fantastic follow-up, of course, to, well, I guess follow-up, a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. I've actually got all the Mad Max movies in now, the older ones, so I'm going to be watching the Mad Max movies next year. However, Furiosa was a breath of fresh air, visually stunning, and some fantastic stunt work that was just amazing on the big screen. Again, one of the best fantastic films that I've seen this year on the big screen in terms of experience-wise. I had a great time watching Furiosa. Number 8 then now, and this is one that's definitely due a rewatch, directed by Luca Guadagnino. This is Challengers. This stars Zendaya, of course, and personally my pick for James Bond, Josh O'Connor. Mike Feist is in there as well. A really good movie about Zendaya's character, who basically is a tennis star, but she has to retire because she has an injury, and she's really young retiring. A really inspiring film, but also a sports film, which is done without sport really being the front and center main thing of the movie. I think it's done really well. The story there is about her and her different thing of, like, you know, actually going from being a tennis player and then ultimately being a tennis coach. I think it's really good, reminiscent to a little bit of King Richard that we had, of course, way back in 2021. In at number 7 then now, and this is Cabrini. This probably is the one that people probably don't know much about, but this is another biopic movie about a lady called Francesca Cabrini, and she basically created this like, I guess, like hospital or like orphanage kind of thing, and ultimately gave back to like the community and stuff. A really inspiring story. Pretty long this movie was. It was about 2.5 hours, but it was really good, really inspiring. And if you're into your like period drama kind of biopic movies, this is one for you. You will enjoy it. It also stars John Lithgow in there as well as Mia Gould. That was somebody who I did recognize in the movie. But Cabrini for me was fantastic, and it would have took something quite special to beat Cabrini for me, because I had a real good time with Cabrini, and also the performance of the actress was phenomenal. Top 6 then, now we're getting into the meat and gravy of this ranking list. Number 6, I actually give it to Anatomy of a Fall. Of course, this is the Oscar nominated movie, a fantastic movie in terms of a crime movie, so a law crime kind of film. It's about, did the woman, the wife kill the husband? Great performances from Sandra Hüller, who's also playing Sandra in the movie. It was honestly really good. It's mad to think that I'm doing this with these things now, but I watched this months ago, obviously. But Anatomy of a Fall was a great creation, in my opinion, and I really did enjoy how it was. And ultimately, there was some good musical moments in as well. The score played a real fantastic part in the actual creativity of the movie itself. Top 5 now then, and this is a very recent one. Actually, it came out on New Year's Day, so technically it came out in the UK in 2025, but I managed to see it on a limited screen early in December. This is We Live in Time, starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. It's an ultimate story about living in the moment, living in time. It's a couple story, and I think ultimately what sold me this is Florence and Andrew themselves. They ultimately sold this movie as they have such a genuine relationship, and it come across on the screen fantastically. Their performances are Oscar worthy of nominations. They should definitely get an Oscar nomination, in my opinion. I think both of them did fantastic. Any of them can win, if not both of them, but I think they both were the standouts performance-wise for me this year. Number 4 then now, and this is a Netflix movie, so this is my favourite Netflix movie, I guess, of the year. This is Maestro, directed and starring Bradley Cooper. Bradley plays Leonard Bernstein, and this is the biopic movie of Leonard Bernstein. I think I actually had a real luck with this one. I really enjoyed it. It was really good, but I didn't watch it on Netflix. I watched it in the cinema. Cineworld did a Q&A thing with Bradley Cooper, and they did it for one night only. So glad I did, because if I'd watched on the big screen, I might not have had the experience and seen the art that Bradley created. I know Bradley really wants to win Oscars and all that, and he's trying so hard. But Maestro came really close for me in terms of the performance. The transformation of him, he transforms ultimately into Leonard Bernstein fantastically, and of course I really rate it. Top 3 then now, so we're nearly there, and this is the best animation movie of the year, in my opinion, and the 3rd favourite film of mine. This is The Wild Robot, a fantastically animated film which I definitely did not see coming. It is really breathtaking. Some honourable mentions for Lord of the Rings as well while I'm saying this, because Lord of the Rings did look stunning, The War of Rohirrim, but Wild Robot for me takes the crown of the best visually looking movie, and also in terms of just a fantastic ensemble of voice actors and all of that. I do not want a Wild Robot 2 because I think it takes away from the Wild Robot 1. I also think it's getting a re-release in the UK, Wild Robot, in mid-January to try and get some more revenue, because I think it definitely deserves it. And for me, Oscar of the best animated movie should be Wild Robot. In at number 2 then now, this is the wildly successful and probably in everyone's top 5 movies of the year. This is Dune Part 2, the follow-up of course to Dune, and which we had in 2021, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and of course starring Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken, Lea Seydoux, Stellan Skarsgård. A fantastic cast, awesome, and it totally reminds me of Star Wars. As a big sci-fi fan, Dune is up there for me in terms of one of my favourite space sci-fi universes from the fantasy aspect. Really enjoyed Dune, but also it's just a fantastic spectacle. 4K, the Dolby Atmos is fantastic as well for the home experience, but in the cinema I think I saw it 3 times. Really good. Would highly recommend Dune. But yeah, just missed out on that top spot for me though, ever so slightly. And in at number 1 then for me is Poor Things. This is the movie directed by Yorgos Lanthimos and starring of course Emma Stone as Bella Baxter. It is an ultimately fantastic film that really is the only film this year that moved me so much from the pure art that I was watching on the screen. Emma Stone totally transforms into Bella Baxter and completely took me to an entirely different world, with a supporting cast of Willem Dafoe, Mark Ruffalo. It just encompasses a really good movie. Of course, this was a movie that did feature heavily in the Oscars earlier in the year, but it is a film that came out in mid-January in the UK, hence why it's in the 2024 rankings, but it was nowhere near going to be toppled by anything. But to be honest, it would have took something really special to topple Poor Things from number 1 for me, because I had a really special soft spot for Emma Stone's performance in this movie. So there it is. There is my top 20 movies of 2024. Stay tuned for tomorrow, where I'm actually going to upload a video of my worst movies of 2024. So we're going to look at the other end of the spectrum and have a bit of a rage at all the movies that came out this year. But there it is. As I say, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, please do. I have a list on there of my 132 movies ranked in order of preference, and yeah, you can see all the movies that I watched, all the ratings that I gave it, and of course follow me for all my new reviews and stuff that I post over there. Thanks for watching though guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.